Alright, hello every pony. Welcome to another reading. You know how I read a lot of stories where they kill Rainbow Dash? Well, here's another one for you. It's called Shattered. It is a dark story. And the description is this. Scootaloo has always been a fan of Rainbow Dash, but when a chain of events and Rainbow's newfound popularity causes Rainbow Dash to ignore her, even the strongest of wills can crumble. This story has 5 chapters, and it has this amazing picture. Look at it. Just look at it. It's Scootaloo with a goddamn red bleeding eye. It looks amazing, and the jacket she's wearing is awesome. And I see Pink Amina in the background. There's blood on the floor, and yeah. And there's 53 stories on my read later list, so let's get going. This should be a short one, though. Yay for short stories. Alright, Chapter 1. Change. All her life, Scootaloo has always been Rainbow Dash's #1 fan. Through thick and thin, through waters deep and shallow, Scootaloo has always stayed by her side. But somewhere along the way, that all changed. Let's delve deeper into the story, shall we? It happened one starry night, 10 years after Rainbow Dash first joined the Equestria's Best Young Flyer competition. Rainbow was becoming a veteran at these things, and today Rainbow was looking to get her 10th win in a row. Scootaloo sat at the stands, anxiously waiting for her hero. A cyan blue pony burst out. Scootaloo cheered along with the crowd upon seeing her idol. Rainbow Dash had practically become a hero here in Cloudsdale. Every pony knew her. She would get letters from every pony, fan letters, love letters from a few colts once in a while. But all of her fans, Scootaloo had been the most loyal, staying by her side all day and night, and Rainbow Dash treated her the same way. Scootaloo was like a little sister to her, and she treated her as such. Rainbow Dash did her barrel rolls and turns, loops and twists. But the real highlight came when she did her signature move, the triple sonic rainboom. Rainbow Dash hit it, and 3 rainbow rings were formed. A trail of rainbows formed behind her, lighting up the sky. Scootaloo had seen Rainbow do this move tons of times during practice, but it was still amazing to see it on such a grand stage. Okay, wait a second. What? A triple sonic rainbow? Seems legit. Rainbow Dash finished her run and landed on the cloud, not breaking a sweat. What? Scootaloo cheered harder, and so did the audience. The Wonderbolts responded by giving her a Wonderbolt suit, making her the newest member. Rainbow Dash was prepared for anything. Anything but this. Her eyes shone with excitement and happiness. She had waited all her life for this day, and here it was. She took the suit and flew off with her heroes. The crowd cheered as loud as they could as the ponies took off into the sky. Scootaloo headed home, eager to hang out with Rainbow tomorrow. She flicked on the lights to her mansion. Technically, it was Rainbow's home, but Rainbow had given to her when she got a larger, grander mansion. What? Scootaloo made her way up to her room and plopped down onto the former bed of her idol. Scootaloo wondered what tomorrow would bring for her new Wonderbolt friend. Scootaloo woke up the next morning and flew into town, awaiting her idol. Then Rainbow Dash came walking through the town. Scootaloo jumped and waved at her. "Hey, Rainbow, you were amazing last night." Ooh. Rainbow held her head high and simply walked past the orange Pegasus. She faltered for a moment and immediately perked up again. Rainbow must be busy. I'll hang with her later. Scootaloo sped off to go hang with her two best friends, Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom. The 3 mares met up at their old clubhouse. They went in and remembered the memories they once had in the old treehouse. Then they went to a restaurant to have lunch and eat and catch up. "So, Scootaloo, how was Rainbow last night?" Sweetie Belle asked. Back then, Sweetie Belle was a filly that didn't mind getting her hooves dirty. Now she was just as regal as her older sister Rarity. "Yes, Scoots, how were y'all last night?" Apple Bloom had changed quite a bit, too. She now had a fit body similar to hers. She still wore her ribbon. No surprise there. "She was awesome. She did a triple sonic rainboom. A triple sonic rainboom!" Her friends chuckled up on seeing her friend so ecstatic. They finished up lunch and departed. Scootaloo headed to Rainbow's usual practicing spot and found her doing her usual high-risk maneuvers. Scootaloo cheered her on and immediately faltered when she went through a cloud and came crashing down. Scootaloo looked on a very angry look, and Rainbow Dash walked towards her. That was awesome! Rainbow Dash looked at her. She looked quite mad. No. Awesome? Awesome? That's nowhere near the Wonderbolt's level. I need complete perfection, and you are in the way. I need complete concentration, so if you don't mind... Rainbow took off again as a sad-looking orange Pegasus watched her. Scootaloo couldn't believe her ears. Her idol, her sister, had just yelled and scalded her. This was a Pegasus pony that had taught her to fly. She tried to process it, but there was simply one reason. Rainbow Dash simply didn't care for her. She had more important friends than plain old Scootaloo. Scootaloo stared at the ground in sadness as tears streamed down her cheeks and splashed down on the grass. The crying stopped eventually. Scootaloo looked up. She was burning with hatred upon replaying the words Rainbow Dash had once yelled at her. So I'm not important enough, huh? I'll show you. Scootaloo turned tail and headed for the one pony who could help aid her in her quest for vengeance. Scootaloo found herself at Sugar Cube Corner. She went in and found Pinkie Pie behind the counter. Uh-oh. Hiya, Scootaloo. Scootaloo had no time to exchange a greeting. Pinkie, I need help. What kind of help? Scootaloo looked up, eyes glowing with anger. I need help getting revenge. Pinkie's smile faded as she shifted uncomfortably. Scootaloo, I don't think you should do that. I mean, the mean old pony will apologize sooner or later. Scootaloo rolled her eyes in annoyance. Oh, shit. Pinkie, I want revenge, and I want it now. Pinkie's hair immediately went straight as she went into Pinkamena Die Pie mode. An evil grin formed on her face. First off, you'll need to get yourself some new gear. You don't look menacing enough. Pinkie tossed her a leather jacket. Scootaloo put it on. It felt kind of tight at first, but loosened up after a few steps. I think you're missing something. Pinkie rummaged and brought out 2 small metal rings and a metal collar. Oh, great. People coming in and disturbing me. I hate it. Yes, so where were we? Scootaloo put them on and looked into a mirror. She didn't see a little fangirl anymore. Instead, she saw a Pegasus pony that looked ready to kill. Second, you'll have to beat him or her at her own game. Destroy her reputation and her pride. When you're done, I'll give you further instructions. Scootaloo felt a grin tug at her lips as she thanked Pinkie and flew off. I wonder if she'll also get the red eye, because that looks awesome. Meh. Scootaloo spent the next few days training while Rainbow Dash would go off to fly with the Wonderbolts. Scootaloo had practiced up to the point that she could perfect every single move in the book. She was confident that her plan would get under Rainbow's skin. It was only a matter of time. The young Pegasus waited for a perfect opportunity to strike, and came forth that day. The Wonderbolts were coming to Ponyville to stay for a few days. Scootaloo knew that Rainbow Dash would be there, showing off her found stardom. Scootaloo had everything planned out, except that she didn't have the skills to do a triple sonic rainbow. Yeah, but that's only a thing that Rainbow Dash can do, you know? Scootaloo had only come across this stalemate just before they came. The Wonderbolts were coming to town, and she was running out of time. She decided to wing it and just go out there. Scootaloo waited for them to arrive. When the Wonderbolts arrived, there may as well have been a riot. Ponies of all species charged forward to greet them. They kept their distance, though. The photographer seemed intent on taking photos of one pony, and one pony alone. The newest member of the group, Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash strutted her stuff and posed for every camera there was. Hey, Rainbow, how do you keep that body in such a good-looking shape? Nothing a little dedication can handle. Hey, Dash, what did it feel like when you did your sonic rainbow for the first time? It was nothing really, just another chick. Could you do a triple sonic rainbow? The media would love it. Anything for a fan. Uh-oh. She prepared to take off before she could. An orange Pegasus zipped by, barely missing them all. The fans turned their attention to the speeding maniac known as Scootaloo. Scootaloo did barrel rolls, corkscrews, twists and turns that impressed even Spitfire. Scootaloo stopped for a moment and prepared to do her signature move. She dove downward as fast as she could, and before she knew it, 3 rose-red rings of light lit up the night sky. Everyone could only gawk at Scootaloo's handiwork. It was beautiful, far more impressive than a sonic rainbow, 'cause, meh. Scootaloo headed for the crowd below, leaving a trail of rose-red light behind her. She landed right in front of the Wonderbolts, kicking up some sparks as she did. Rainbow shook out of her daze and placed an arm around Scootaloo. This is my student and sister, Scootaloo. No, she's not. I taught her all that. Say, you look different. Did you get your mane cut? Scootaloo shoved Rainbow Dash off her as gasps were heard from the press. I'm sorry, you must have mistaken me for somebody else. Come on, Scoot, this is your sister, Rainbow Dash, remember? Scootaloo looked back at R.D. and dead serious. If you were my sister, you wouldn't have yelled at me. Oh, that's one under the belt. Holy shit. Scootaloo turned and took off for her home, leaving Rainbow to gawk at her. She was both angry and shocked. She clenched her teeth and turned back to her fans, but they had turned their attention to the orange Pegasus that was long gone. The next morning, Scootaloo woke up and found a newspaper on her porch. The headline was, Loyal Celebrity Rainbow Dash Has Family Spat. Aww. Last night, what was supposed to be a huge night for Ponyville's one and only Rainbow Dash, turned out into a disaster as her supposed sibling, Scootaloo, showed up and stole the show with her incredible performance. Upon being interviewed, a very upset Rainbow Dash simply ignored our crew, refusing to talk. Turn to page 5 for more info. Scootaloo felt a grin tug at her lips as she read the article. She tossed it on her couch and headed out to Sugar Cube Corner. She entered and found Pinkie by the counter as usual. How's it going? Scootaloo flashed her a grin. Nice job out there. You ready for the next step? Sure. Okay, Eliminator. What? Say what? Scootaloo stared at Pinkie for a moment before realizing she was dead serious. Pinkie, no offense, but I don't think Rainbow Dash deserves to die. I just wanted to get back at her, not murder her. Okie dokie Loki, but if you change your mind, you know where to look for me. Thanks, Pinkie. Scootaloo headed for the exit, and almost immediately Rainbow Dash drops down. So you think you can outshine me? Scootaloo's only response was a growl as she stared into the eyes of Rainbow Dash. She was mad. Scootaloo could tell that the last night's plan had gotten under her skin. Uh-oh. Okay. If you know what's best for you, you won't show up tonight. You got that? And with that, Rainbow takes off again, leaving a very angry Scootaloo alone. So you want war? Then if it's war you want, it's war you'll get. Scootaloo prepares to blast off, before a familiar voice calls out, Scootaloo! She turns to find her friends Applebloom and Sweetie Belle standing there. My, I didn't think you were one that liked to dress up, Sweetie Belle says. Yes, Scoots, where'd you get all the new gear? Pinkie Pie gave it to me. I dare say this is a good look for you. Hey, y'all want to hang out? Me and Sweetie here's got nothing to do anyway. Scootaloo stared at her clearly aesthetic friends for a while before deciding. Sorry, gals, I can't. Kinda busy. Oh, shit. Scootaloo took off before they could answer. She felt the wind in her face as she practiced even more. She was going to need something that would make yesterday's performance look like nothing. And it's raining outside, and it's raining pretty loudly. She needed to blow them all away. Scootaloo! I'll show you all. Scootaloo muttered to herself as she headed to her usual practice area. She already had a few moves in mind, but they could have seriously injured her. Her quest for vengeance fueled her as she prepared to do one of the most dangerous moves of all time. The basic idea of her new move was that she would first do her 3 rose red rings of light first. That's a pretty bad name. I'm sorry, but it just is. Then she would go even faster, so fast that she would turn into a fireball. When she did, she would dive towards the crowd and pull up at the last moment. As mentioned before, very dangerous. But Scootaloo didn't have a care in the world. Nothing was going to stop her from getting revenge. Okay, I'm sorry, I may be being a little bit overcritical here, but both seem very out of character. I'm sorry, but Rainbow Dash is the element of loyalty, and Scootaloo is like fangirl to the max. It just seems so out of character. I'm just sorry. So there's a little author's note on the top of this. It's, by the way, Chapter 3, First Blood. Huge thanks to all you guys for your support. Woke up and found the story in the What's Hot section just before the return of Nightmare Moon. You guys have truly made my day. Another thing is the recent outrage that there simply wasn't enough to make Scootaloo snap. This has really been getting on my nerves lately. Well, I will say this for one last time. I will be releasing a prequel. I will get to work as soon as I'm done with this, okay? Alright, let's keep going. The starry night came eventually as the Wonderbolts headed out to town. Rainbow Dash couldn't help but stare into the sky once in a while to make sure that Scootaloo was not coming. Rainbow Dash had been treating Scootaloo like a sister ever since she met her. Why would she snap like this? Well, there was that one time at her birthday party. Then there was my fifth Young Flyers competition. Rainbow Dash relayed the past over and over in her head. She had been kind of a jerk, but she didn't think her selfish actions were going to go as far as to break Scootaloo's respect and loyalty for her. In the inside, Rainbow Dash was sorry. She regretted pushing Scootaloo around, and she was planning to apologize. Uh-oh. Oh no, this is gonna go down bad. Rainbow Dash waited for what seemed like forever, until finally the orange Pegasus flew out of nowhere. She was agile and graceful, doing stunts and tricks that only madmen would have agreed to. Uh-oh. Then came the big moment. She flew as fast as she could, and the 3 rose red rings of light materialized once again. Oh, she's not. But she didn't stop there. She flew as high as she could and dove downwards. The momentum and speed caused her to erupt into a fireball. The crowd gasped as Artie looked on in horror. Scootaloo dove down towards the ground and pulled up at the last second. She skidded to a stop in front of Rainbow, kicking up sparks as she did. Okay, that's kind of a pretty awesome way to get a nice entry, but for what you're about to do next is not good. Hey there, kid. I just wanted to save it, Skittles. You don't have to tell me what I already know. Yes, I know you're awesome. I know you're better than me, but you don't have to rub it in my face every 5 seconds. By now, Rainbow Dash had completely abandoned the apology and was thinking more along the lines of murder. Well, that escalated quickly. Rainbow Dash stomped towards her and came face to face with her former student. Kid, don't say I didn't warn you. Scootaloo continued staring into the rose-red eyes of Rainbow Dash. She was definitely mad, and so was Scootaloo. So much bottled emotions finally released. Huh. The crowd continued watching the two Pegasi. They could feel the anger they shared toward each other. This wasn't just a family spat, this was an all-out war. Scootaloo stood firm and didn't budge. Rainbow Dash was growing more and more impatient. Then all Scootaloo could see was a flash of cyan blue as she stumbled backwards and fell. She felt immense pain at her right eye. She looked up and saw Rainbow Dash standing there, still mad. Then Scootaloo noticed something else. She had her right arm enclosed over her right eye. She felt her hoof go warm and wet. She took her hoof off her eye and expected tears. Instead, she found a shade of dark red on her hoof. The crowd gasped. It was blood. Scootaloo looked at her hoof in shock and disbelief. Rainbow Dash had just punched her in the eye. She looked at Rainbow Dash. She had a look of fear in her eyes. She was turning pale, too. Scootaloo continued staring at the blood on her hoofs. She eventually got up and stared into the eyes of Rainbow Dash. She was mad. No, she was beyond mad. Scootaloo turned and stormed away from Rainbow Dash before Rainbow could finish. She turned to find Soren and Spitfire shaking their heads in disappointment as they left. Rainbow sat there in shock. She didn't expect her punch to be that lethal. Scootaloo stormed into the house and burst into her bathroom. She stared into the mirror and observed the damage. Her right eye was now bleeding. It still stung a little, but other than that, she was fine. She could still see fine and all. She looked closer and noticed that her once beautiful pink eye was now blood red. Scootaloo felt a smile tug at her lips as she stared at herself in the mirror. Her right eye was still bleeding, but she felt nothing. Her right eye still felt fine. I could get used to this. Scootaloo knew what had to be done. It was time. No, don't. No! Stop it. God damn it. Another author's note. Sorry if this chapter is kinda short. Feeling frustrated and mad lately. Basically, I don't feel like writing. But don't worry, I promise the next chapter will be longer. Yeah, now Scootaloo's going crazy. And she has the red eye, which is awesome. Okay, here is another author's note. Before we continue the story, again, I want to address the critics and haters out there. You say that a simple yelling isn't enough to make sweet little Scootaloo snap. Of course it isn't. That's why I'm releasing the prequel in the first place. Scootaloo woke up the next morning, right eye still bleeding. She found a puddle of blood on her bed, made by her right eye. She got up and cleaned the mess. She trudged into the bathroom to check on the bleeding. It had refused to stop. Not that Scootaloo wanted it to stop. Okay. That is not good. Scootaloo, you might want to get that checked out, actually. Because you'll eventually die of blood loss, and I just hit myself in the face with my mic. Like a boss. Scootaloo kicked the doors open and leaped into the air. She dove towards Sugar Cube Corner and burst through the door. She found Pinky sitting behind the counter again. Hey there, Scootaloo. Whoa, what happened? Just a little brawl. By the way, I'm ready. Oh, God. An evil smile formed on Pinky's face. She rummaged through a box and brought out a few peculiar items. This is to hold her down. Pinky pointed at a bloody pile of chains. And this is when you really want to have fun, Pinky said while holding a hook and a knife. Okay, so I just stab her in the heart and I'm done, right? Well, if you really hate her, you have to torture her. A quick death isn't enough. Aw. Scootaloo, please stop. Scootaloo raised an eyebrow. She wondered where Pinky got all of this stuff. Scootaloo thanked Pinky and left with her a sack of dangerous toys. Scootaloo was going to have to get her immobilized, isolated. After hours of thinking, Scootaloo came up with a plan. She would have to get Rainbow in the hospital. But how? The answer was simple. Scootaloo waited for nightfall, and eventually it came. Scootaloo had everything ready. She was sure that Artie was going to take off and do a few stunts today, whether she wanted or not. It was there that Scootaloo would make her move. The only stalemate was speed. Scootaloo wasn't sure if she could catch Rainbow in midair. It would be difficult, but she had to try. Scootaloo, just stop, please. Don't do this. Scootaloo waited in the shadows. She waited the cyan blue Pegasus to take off. After a few pictures, she did. She took off, and just as quick as it started, it ended. Rainbow flew, the wind blowing in her ears. She was going to do her signature triple sonic rainbow. Rainbow was about to do it when all of a sudden she heard a sickening crack, followed by immense pain shooting through her right wing. She immediately stopped and fell from the sky. She landed with a loud crash and found herself in great pain. A few medics came to her attention and immediately put her on a stretcher. Rainbow could only focus on the pain, the immense pain in her wings. Before she could even enter the hospital, she passed out. When Rainbow Dash woke up, she tried to open her wings. Her left wing was a little scratched up, but fine. Her right wing, however, was dislocated, almost bent in half. The doctor came in shortly after RD woke up. Rainbow Dash, I know what's wrong with me. Just tell me how long I'm going to be here. 2 months, minimum. Woo! Woo-hoo-hoo! Ouch! Oh, that's, unfortunate. Oh, how unfortunate. Rainbow's jaw dropped. 2 months? But the Wonderbolts were going to perform in 2 weeks. She couldn't just stay here and do nothing while they went off flying. Rainbow sighed in disappointment and crossed her arms. You should get some sleep. The doctor left, leaving RD in a hospital room. All by herself, her friends weren't going to visit her. It was midnight. They were probably asleep. Rainbow sighed and tried to get some sleep, hoping for a quick recovery so she could join her heroes again. When Rainbow woke up again, it was still midnight. She craned her head and saw no pony there. Yet she could still feel something. Some pony was watching her. Artie looked around and found a pony sitting just out of Light's reach. Rainbow Dash felt this pony was somebody she was supposed to know. That familiar orange fur and that pink eye that shone in the darkness. The pony stepped forward into the light, revealing an orange Pegasus. Her left eye was a beautiful pink, but her right eye was blood red, with streams of blood coming out of it to top it off. Rainbow stared in horror at her aggressor. Scootaloo? About time you woke up. Artie looked around and found a table that had a ton of nasty-looking tools on it. Scootaloo walked over and picked up a bloody hook, observing it in every angle. Uh-oh. Oh, we're gonna go cupcakes up in this bitch again, are we? Well, you know how the old saying goes. An eye for an eye. Rainbow gulped. She tried to escape, but she felt something hold her back. She raised her arms once again and found chains bound to them. Scootaloo noticed Rainbow's restlessness and put the hook down. Don't worry, I'm not going to take your eyes. Yet. Scootaloo grabbed a huge, wicked-looking blade and slowly walked towards Rainbow Dash. She placed a hoof on Rainbow's belly and slowly made her way to her wings. She spread Rainbow's cyan blue wings and caressed them for a while. You have strong wings, don't you, Dashy? Rainbow felt beds of sweat form on her face as Scootaloo continued examining her wings. Let's just see how strong they are. Scootaloo raises the huge wicked blade and brings it down upon her. Blood splattered as Scootaloo continued hacking at the wing. Rainbow felt jolt after jolt of pain shoot through her body. Finally, Scootaloo tears the wing off and holds it just high enough for Artie to see. Rainbow Dash tried to let out a scream, but before she could, Scootaloo pressed a hoof against her mouth. Shh, if you be a good girl. That should be you'll. If you'll be a good girl, I might make this quick. Rainbow stared at her, with fear and disbelief in her rose-red eyes. She wondered at what point she failed. What did she do to deserve a fate as cruel as this? Well, you punched her in the face, and she now has an ever-bleeding eye. That was Chapter 4, set up. Now let's go to Chapter 5, the execution. Yup. The prequel will be out soon. It'll probably explain how Pinky got like this, and how Scootaloo also went psycho, so stay tuned. Scootaloo held the severed wing high. Blood still trickled out from the severed joint and formed a puddle on the floor. Rainbow stared at her wing, wide-eyed with horror as Scootaloo bent it, twisted it, smashed it, then threw it aside. Scootaloo walked over to the table of tools and held a hook high. She observed it closely and ran her hoof at the point end and the pointed end. That should be at, I believe. I'm not going to do that just yet. Scootaloo picked up a machete and made her way towards Rainbow Dash. She raised the blade high and brought it down on her stomach, leaving a deep gash on her torso. Tears streamed down Rainbow's cheeks as she tried to hold back the screams that filled her lungs. That should be enough. Having fun, Rainbow, my dear? Now, Rainbow, my dear, I cannot express my delight. Okay, that was false as fuck. I know. I'm a scumbag. Rainbow stared at the orange Pegasus. This wasn't Scootaloo anymore. This was something else. Oh, there we go. Scootaloo grabbed the hook from the table and prepared. She had a wicked smile on her face as she held the hook in her hands. Finally, she thrust it forward, and the hook secured itself in Rainbow's right eye. This time it was too much. Rainbow let out a huge, ear-piercing scream that was probably heard by all of Equestria. Scootaloo laughs upon hearing Rainbow finally give in. She pulled the hook out, and with a sickening pop, the eyeball flew out. Rainbow felt pain, much more intense than when Scootaloo hacked off her wings. Scoots picked up the rose-red eyeball and stared at it for a while. She put it into a jar filled with water and closed the lid. Ah, no. Rainbow had her right eyelid closed the whole time. She didn't want to know what would happen if she opened her eyelid without her eyeball. The idea disturbed her greatly. Scootaloo took a knife from her table of killer toys. The knife was small compared to the machete or the hook, but it was still pretty large. Say good night, Rainbow. Oh yeah, now she's gonna fix shit. Finish her! Scootaloo raised the blade high above Rainbow's heart. She was about to stab, but she allowed Rainbow a few seconds of life. Any last words? With all the strength she could muster, Rainbow Dash formed a sentence. Yeah, I do. I always loved you, Scoots. And nothing will ever change that. I'm sorry I yelled at you. Rainbow closed her eyes and prepared for impact. Well, actually, she only closes one eye because the other one was already closed. How long has it been going? It's been going for 34 minutes already? Jeez. Rainbow closed her eyes and prepared for impact. Scootaloo stared at the mutilated Rainbow Dash for a while. She gripped the knife and down it went, but its destination was far from Rainbow's heart. Instead, Scootaloo had stabbed the blade onto Rainbow's bed, barely missing her. Rainbow opened her left eye and found Scootaloo, tears streaming down her face as she collapsed and buried her face in Rainbow's chest. I'm sorry, sis. I don't know what got into me. Rainbow Dash tried her best to comfort Scootaloo. It wasn't easy considering she was on the verge of death. Rainbow held her close while she continued sobbing. It was peaceful and calm for a moment. Scootaloo was still crying. Rainbow Dash continued stroking her mane and apologizing. Then the door flung open. Wait a second, she was attached by the chains. That is impossible! I'm being overly critical here. Uh-oh. A pink mare stood at the door. A pink mare stood at the doorway. She had a long, straight pink mane to match her pink fur. She had a smile on her face until she saw Scootaloo and Rainbow Dash sharing this sisterly moment. Pinky's smile immediately turned into a look of disappointment. So you failed to carry out the last step. Scootaloo backed up and bumped into her tool table. She watched as Pinky made her way to the foot of Rainbow Dash's bed. If you're not going to kill her, then I will. Scootaloo now had a choice. Either she could make Rainbow's death quick and painless, or she could get killed by Pinky. Scootaloo gulped and picked up another knife. She held it in her hooves and took one more review on her choices. Behind door 1 was a sister, a Pegasus who had sacrificed so much to teach her all that she knew. A pony who accepted and adopted her as a sister when nobody else could. Sure, she made some mistakes and was a jerk at sometimes. That doesn't sound correct. Just saying. But she wouldn't be able to live without the fact that she murdered her idol. Behind door 2 was a psychotic pink pony. Scootaloo was scared of Pinky. She was more experienced, more skilled than Scootaloo. She would kill her if Scoots didn't kill Dash. Decisions. Door 2. Definitely. Scootaloo tensed, and with all her might she sent the blade flying. The one-eyed pony had a look of shock on her face as she felt the blade in her body. She looked at Scootaloo, a look of disbelief and bewilderment in her eyes. Scootaloo tossed another blade and her body went limp. Wait, what? Scootaloo let out a sigh of relief and walked over to Rainbow's bed. She stared at the dead body of Pinky and pulled the knife out of Pinky's eyes. Her accuracy had been impeccable. Scootaloo turned her attention back to the dying Rainbow Dash and cut off her chains, then embraced her in a hug. Scootaloo felt the cold in Rainbow's body as she shivered. Scootaloo had tears streaming down her face as she muttered 4 simple words. I love you, sis. Okay, that was really confusing. It says Scootaloo tensed and with all her might sent the blade flying. The one-eyed pony, Rainbow Dash, had a look of shock on her face as she felt the blade in her body. She looked at Scootaloo, a look of disbelief and bewilderment in her eyes. Scootaloo tossed another blade and her body went limp. Pinkie Pie is not one-eyed. So that's kind of a little point there. I guess I'm being over critical again, but just saying. That's really it, and it seems like something happened on FIM Fiction. Let's see what that is. Oh, okay. Story updates, story updates, story updates. I have some stories that I want to read. This was a really weird story. I did not see the end coming, and I don't quite see. And that little paragraph at the end was a bit weird and off. But without that, overall, I think it was a pretty good story. Pinky's transformation seems a bit quick, but it could work. It can work in this situation. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about this story. It was pretty good. Just a couple of grammar and spelling issues, but you know every story has that. Even Silent Ponyville 2 had that. But that story was about 50,000 words long, so don't blame them on that. But yeah, it was overall a pretty good story. Looking forward to more. And yeah. So that's it for me today, guys. I might make another one later. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.